So I've got myself another Walkman. I had kind of sworn off of these, but couldn't pass this one up because it's in such nice shape. This is a FX244 from Sony. You can see from the logo, this is a relatively late one. And I did look up the manual for this, and the copyright on it is 2002, which seems about right. You have a completely digital controlled PLL tuning, presumably radio, with 40 presets. That's pretty good. AM, FM, that's pretty good. I will say that the Sony radio Walkmans from this period are fairly desirable from people who like portable radios like me, so that's a bonus. Same with the tape. That's always nice too. And, a cursory inspection of this, apart from the fact that it's in very nice shape and looks like it sat in someone's drawer for most of the last 20 years. If you hit play, everything is linking up. Hard to tell if the capstan is belt is in place, but certainly the rollers and everything appear to be connecting. And I've had reasonable luck at having the belts be okay in these sorts of things. Even this one, which is from the mid-90s, quite different mechanism. This is a WM FX39. Oh, I didn't realize how close they are. That's a 39, this is a 44. But this one has Dolby, this one has some tone controls. It's got an analog AM, FM. This is an auto reverse deck. And I've got another video on this where I took it apart. And if I remember correctly, the belts were okay, but all the capacitors were bad in it. And I had to replace all the capacitors on the board. And I had another one of this era, I think maybe a little later, a simpler one. And again, the belts were the same, but were fine, but the capacitors were all bad. And I had tracks peel on me as I started to try and work on that. And so I gave up on it. So it's a parts model, or a parts one, and the mechanism is very similar to this, although I don't believe that one was auto reverse. So I've kept it for parts. This one, if you'll look, this is a quite plasticky mechanism. This is certainly Sony's lower line. This is certainly not an expensive model, but I do note that it has acquired a metal mechanism at some point in there. So I don't know if that's a move up or down in the Sony world, but I like that. Also, this is made out of the Sony's black ABS plastic, which breaks and squishes really easily when you try to open it. This, as you'll see, is translucent, which probably means it's polycarbonate, which is a lot more forgiving when you're trying to open up one of these things. Anyway, that's enough background. Let's see if it works. My guess is about 50-50 that this is just going to work. So let's open it up. Let's open up the battery case. I did look in the battery compartment. Nothing wrong there. So we got the serial number and all the stickers still in place. And let's get the batteries in. And let's take hold off. Let's put on FM. All right. So we've got, I'll try to turn that so you can see we've got FM. It'll go through the presets. These look like just random ones, but you could set and you could tune. Will it jump? Yeah, so it'll scan, it'll do all the normal stuff. We can go to AM and do the same thing. Okay, that's good. The only thing, enter, I guess, enters a new preset. Okay, so the radio appears to work, at least in that regard. So let's turn the radio off. Haven't put in headphones or anything yet. Let's have a look at the cassette deck. First, we'll just hit play. We're getting no motion. I'll put a tape in just for no thing. Let's see if we can hear the motor. I'll just hold it up. Yes, I can hear the motor. So we have the need to replace the belts in this. So that should be fun. Get that out. So what am I going to do? I think what I'm going to do is I am going to get some little speakers. Let's make sure the radio works. That'll give us whether the amplifier works, and that'll probably give us an idea as to whether the capacitors are good or not in it. Then we'll need to carefully open it up and replace the belt. As I said, the motor is turning. Everything else seems to be okay. So it looks like this is likely just going to be belt replacement. So let me get some little speakers and we'll first make sure the radio works. So we have our little speakers set up in the corner here. We have batteries in the Sony. Let's turn it on. Oops. Okay. Now I understand. All right, none of these are going to work in Toronto. All right, let's turn up the volume.
You take off the foil, that holds the cork in place. And this is, by the way, obviously I'm talking about...
So not a twist top.
Okay, so we have AM radio. FM will go down to an actual station. I finally... Oops.
I'm Batman, The Flash, now playing only beaters. Get tickets now. Collective cut.
So I don't hear any. I don't hear any problems with the radio. I don't hear any problems with the amplifier. So I am going to expect that the tape deck will probably work. That there's no hum, there's no weird noises coming through from this. So the question is going to be, let's get it open. Let's see if I've got a belt that will fit it, and then we'll see if we've got a working Walkman. Let's get to that. As I look around this, I see no screws anywhere. Sometimes Sony's like to hide one in here, but I don't see anything at all. Now there might be some clips here, there and there, which need to be released from here. I see, in fact, and I see Sony's little arrow that they use for screws on those. So let's try lifting up on these. All right. All right, we can see two of the clips in here. So I'm going to put a little pressure on this side. Let's see. I think I got the middle one clipped open. Anyway, what I will probably do is shut off this video and see if I can get this thing unclipped, and then we'll come back to it. And I'll tell you what I did in the process, but I think those 3 clips will come out, and I think the whole thing will come apart quite easily. All right, a little poking around with some soft plastic tools, and this came right off without any damage. No electronics in this, just the rubber pad for the buttons, which are right here. I'm sorry, I don't have my usual light set up today because the battery is dead in one of them. But so here are the buttons, and here are the little, I guess, carbon-containing plastic pads that push them. And there should be another one right up there and right over there. So that's that. We'll put that aside. So this gives us the top. We can see, presumably this is where the head attaches. Usually that's the way it works, and the motor should be around here somewhere. We have a fair amount of handwork on this. Look at this. You can see the remains of the flux. Well, let's see if we can get this out. I'm going to assume that the best bet is probably to take out the screw, but I want to be clear on that before I do anything else. There's a clip there. But I think that's just for, we have the battery terminal, which probably just lifts, and we have clips here and here. Okay, so I think this screw here may or may not need to come out. I'm gonna go yes, because it's got the Sony arrow. So I'll take that out. See if I have an appropriate screwdriver here. If not, I'll get one. Will this one work? Yep. Okay, so we'll take that screw out. And then there are a couple of clips here. And then we can lift the board off with some care. We have a little ribbon cable here. I think that might be. All right. So here's our belt. Not stretchy anymore, really. But that went from here to here. So that should be straightforward enough to replace, assuming I can find a similar one. This one is starting to get a little, it's just at the edge of getting sticky. So let me go through my belts and see if I can find one for that. So this is my sacrificial Sony. Let's see if the belt's the same. Looks pretty close. And this one is nice and stretchy, whereas this one is not. And you'll see this mechanism is really quite plasticky. There's no metal backplate like there is on this one. This mounts the motor into the metal backplate. This mounts the whole backplate of it is plastic. All right, well, let's see if I can get this one on and if it's the right size. If not, I'll have to go to my pile of Chinese belts in various sizes. I'd prefer to use a Sony one if I could. Well, it feels a little loose, but it seems to be working. You can see all the bits and pieces. This is using a very different motor design, and that I think explains a lot about the difference between them. Look, this one, oh, you can't see, but this uses a conventional looking motor that's mounted in a plastic thing. Here, the motor is flat. There's a circuit board here, and this entire part of the motor spins when the belt goes around. So that probably explains the different packaging. That probably explains the need to retain everything in a metal backplate. Another couple comments about this one. You can see that the capacitors are all in a line. The problem with replacing these is that these are quite small and you'd have to source the appropriate small ones. The board is suitably laid out. We have a quartz crystal for the PLL tuning. What's this? I don't know what that is. Huh. Don't know, some sort of capacitor made out of printed circuit board or something? No idea. Anyway, relatively a few tunable elements in the, probably the AM circuit. But there we go. Okay, so hopefully I haven't damaged any of these wires, and this can just go back into place, and we will see if it works. Well, I will probably, there we go. Just want to make sure that I route these wires down here. There we go, that's in place. And we have one long screw. These clips are in place. One long screw here that appears to hold the whole lot together. There it is. All right, now I can't operate any of these buttons without putting the front on it. So I'm going to do that. Oh, I just realized I did one thing wrong here. Let's see if I can fix it without, no, I can't. That's why you always check. I have not lined the battery terminals up properly. Well, that one's probably okay, but this one is not. So let's take, oops, wrong screwdriver. Right screwdriver. Let's take this out again. Lift this up here. And we'll get this lined up back inside there. That one looks like it's supposed to run inside there. We'll put the screw back in. Don't want to tear up the screw too much. Okay, and then we'll put the faceplate back on. Maybe make sure I didn't get any schmutz on the LCD. And that's it. All right, so let's put the batteries in. We'll put it, well, first we'll make sure that the radio is working. Yes, so all that's working. We'll have a quick look here. Everything seems to be spinning. I'll put a tape in. That looks good. All right, well, I'm going to go get another tape and plug this into the little speakers, and we'll see what we hear. Okay, I've confirmed that the radio works, but I'll show you that.
Hi, Dave. What are your plans? What are you doing? Well, first...
Now we'll put in a little bit of Dire Straits this time. We'll just play that very briefly. So don't get into too much copyright trouble with it. We'll just see if it works.
You guys annoyed because I'm such a fool.
That sounds fine. So there you have it, a very simple fix on a WM FX244 Walkman. Having opened this one up now, I would highly recommend this one as the subject of belt repair if you wanted a fairly simple Walkman just to play some tapes you happen to have. Going around, that belt is super easy to repair. There were no capacitor problems that I could hear on it. And this is a very easy one to open up. And I'll just show you how I did it, just so you know. There are 3 clips in here. You push them with something, screwdriver, plastic tool, and then get a plastic tool to follow along at the interface between this and this. And you need something soft plastic like that, or like that. I think these picks are too hard. You need to follow it along, and it unclips super easily because it's polycarbonate, not ABS. It's not that easy to crack. I hope that was useful, and I hope it helped someone get one of these fixed up. Have a good afternoon.